Good morning and welcome to the Sports Desk Live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with producer Alden Iowani. Our special guest today is former University of New Mexico football running back Darryl Chestnut. Darryl, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me.
You know, Darryl, we've been talking about you coming on for a long time, and you played for UNM in 2015 through 2018, and I think the last winning team the UNM had was 2016. A 9-4 record under Coach Bob Davie, an appearance in the New Mexico Bowl, and a loss to Arizona, I believe. Right, and that was a heck of. I was at that game. Arizona was a good team, and it's funny how the Wildcats' fortunes have fallen so bad since then, right? And you didn't live here, but back in the day, the Lobos used to have some battles with Arizona and the WAC before they moved to the Pac-10. So, you played with some really good teammates. But talk about a little bit about your recollection of Lobo football that year. Danny Gonzalez has since taken over the program after Bob Davie, contract was not renewed. Talk a little bit about your remembrances of Lobo football during that time, because it was a special time, and people might have forgot that.
It was a special time. Just coming off of that, we're talking about the 2016 year, but coming off the 2015 year also, I feel like that set the tone. That was my first year as a Lobo. When we beat Boise, and then coming the following year after that, the rushing attack, just everything gelled together. Lamar was throwing good balls when his number was called to throw the balls. Every running back was a starter. There was no running back that couldn't lead the offense and take over a game. So our defense, we had good corners. We had guys like D'Angelo Ross also at corner. We were just across the board. We were probably the most talented team to me in the Mountain West, especially at the running back position.
Talk about that. Okay, you just said that. You thought, and you know what? You can make an argument for that. You played with Jarrell Presley, Terrion Gibson, Richard McCorley, Lamar Jordan. Austin Apodaca would come off the bench as the passing quarterback, right? Carlos Wiggins was the receiver. Damian Gamblin. So when you say that, remember, New Mexico has struggled, right, in the ensuing years, and a lot of people were down on Coach Davie, right? Now, Apollo Wright recruited a lot of these running backs. Remember, UNM has struggled for a long time to put a good product on the field. Now, I'm a Lobo. You're a Lobo. I wish Danny Gonzalez all the best. I love Danny Gonzalez, man. I'm glad he's here. But kind of go back and saying that, because when you say you felt they were the most, your team was the most talented in the Mountain West Conference, that's saying a lot, because UNM has kind of struggled to get that talent. Talk a little bit about that.
And I really do mean that, because you have guys from all different, from different backgrounds, from different cities and states. And we're coming from states that bleed nothing but football. And we're coming from being high heralded prospects out of high school to college. So then it creates nothing but competition in practice. So it's like we're competing against the defense in practice, but if Terrion makes a player miss in practice, it's my turn to make a player miss. If Richard runs a person over, now it's Tyrone Owens' time to run a person over and try to make a big play. So we competed in the room with 5 guys trying to share one football. I've never seen any other team in the Mountain West Conference try to do anything like that. They probably had 1 or 2 guys. We had 5.
And chunk yardage, all right? Right. You and I talked about this one time. Everybody had to eat, right? Everybody wanted the touches. Yeah, but everybody had a different skill set, right? So I think you mentioned this to me, before we came on. That might have been the best stable of running backs UNM has ever had. Remember, back in the day, they had Don Perkins, right? Back in the day, they've had some great running backs. Mike Williams is on the wall there at the University Stadium. Mike Williams played for the Chiefs and was a big bruising fullback, right? So UNM has had some running backs in the past, but you really feel, and I'd be hard pressed to argue that one, because again, a 9-4 record, and I don't know that people remember how good that team was. That's the reason I keep bringing it up, because we're looking for success, right? We want to see that again, and I don't know that team was given enough credit.
Not at all. I don't think so either, because I have to keep going back to 2015. when to me, Coach Davey actually found a niche to change the program and to create some sort of steam. You just don't do that 1 year. He did it back-to-back years of having a solid foundation of a football team. And it started with the running backs. And then it goes to the receivers, and then it goes to the defense. If you create a good stable in a position, in most cases it's the quarterback, but for us, we were the guys that were chosen, and we spreaded our competitive nature throughout the whole team. And right now, what I'm seeing with UNM football, it's not the same how we actually wanted it. We actually would link up on Saturdays and actually gel together and talk about the game, like outside of the season, preparing for the season. I don't see that right now.
Darryl, can you turn your sound up a little bit? It's a little bit low. I don't know if you can control that on your computer, but it's a little low. If you could possibly turn that up. I think one of the things that you mentioned, and Coach Gonzalez is trying to build a program here. You're still watching. You still watch the games. Now, last year they struggled, right? They struggled on the offensive line. He's brought in some big offensive linemen. He brought in another quarterback. He got one from Holiday from Carson City, I believe, or a junior college quarterback. And they've struggled at the quarterback position for the last couple of years. All the injuries, right? Savaka Tuioti is supposed to be that guy. He got hurt. They haven't had an upright quarterback in a while. What do you think of the prospects? I'm excited. Steve Virgin wrote a nice article about the Lobos in the Journal the other day, and there's some reason for optimism. I'm always optimistic, man. I've been a Lobo fan since '70. I'm looking forward to every season. What do you see with this current group of Lobos, and any reason that you might have for optimism?
The biggest thing I do, because I'm real close with Langston Murray, so he gives me direct insight on the squad. And to me, Langston was there when I was there when Richard McCorley was there. He was there my junior and senior year. So he's seen how we actually gelled and how we actually took it seriously. I was there with Tabaka. To me, it's really about letting your players go, letting them have that ultimate confidence. And I just don't see guys out there right now playing with the confidence that's needed. When you hire a guy like Coach Linsmeyer, and he was there during those years, he saw what it is to come from a losing record to actually going 9-4 because he had the offensive lineman. So to me, it's really about having your dogs. When you play football, it's a dog-eat-dog game. Your quarterback has to be a dog, and your offensive lineman has to be dogs also. So when you go recruit players, the mentality of I have to win has to be there. And as of now, I don't see that within the players.
Maybe a recruiting class change can change that, right? Apollo Wright recruited those. That might have been one of the greatest haul of running backs in UNM history. There's no question that it was, right? There's no question. So Coach Gonzalez is trying to hit on that class too and get those. Hopefully he's got those, because you mentioned the running game. You mentioned dogs. It starts up front, right? It starts up front. You got to have that physicality, and depending on the run blocking scheme, you got to have guys open holes for you, or you're not any good, right? You're not any good. But you had those kind of backs back then. So anyway, we'll talk more about the Lobos coming up. But I wanted you to share with everyone. You had a chance with the Washington Redskins on a free agent tryout, right? Now, you mentioned to me, talk a little bit about who was ahead of you when you went to camp with the Redskins and how hard it is for a free agent to break an NFL roster. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my situation was kind of different. First of all, the draft was about I want to say April 22nd of 2018 that year. So about 3 days went by. I didn't receive a call until that third day. My agent calls me and said, we got a shot with the Redskins. So I just seen Darius Geis get drafted. And then, they also have Adrian Peterson. So when I get there, I'm seeing all these guys that I used to play on the game with, on Madden with. So when you see Adrian Peterson in there in the training room and he's getting worked on by the trainers and he doesn't even have to be there, my mind is already like,
To turn heads in a camp like that, you've got to play special teams right there. There's got to be something they see. In other words, you're saying that. And you mentioned this to me too. You played, Darrell Presley got a look with the Vikings in Green Bay, right? He got a look. You mentioned Lamar Jordan being in Germany now. He's got some playmaking ability, right? But to get into the league, it's very, very difficult unless you're a drafted player. Now you can get in as a free agent. Free agents get in, but walking into a camp, the deck is kind of already stacked against you.
Man, it's just so different. That's a situation that you dream of. You want that opportunity. That's an opportunity that you dream of. But at the same time, you have to grow up. You're probably 21 to 23 at that time. So you have to grow up and actually look at the big picture and tell yourself, this is business now. It could be fun once I make the team. But even if you make the team as a free agent, your days are still counted. If you come in drafted, all you have to do is make a couple of plays, and you're in the NFL for that 6 year mark. You're fine. But a free agent, you have to prove yourself year in and year out.
You mentioned that, and okay, as a free agent, you're waiting for that contract, right? You get in. Right. Then some of these contracts. Look what Deshaun Watson. We'll talk more about him in a little bit. Your good friend Amari Cooper was traded to Cleveland, and he got Deshaun Watson $230 million, $230 million, right? 240 million. Patrick Mahomes, $475 million. Dak Prescott last year, $175 million, right? And so much of that money is guaranteed. So free agents, like you said, they can get on a roster, get that money, but they're waiting for that one big contract.
You have to put in years. Deshaun Watson came in from Clemson, and he was a superstar. He was a superstar that didn't even have to play all of last year to accumulate $240 million. A free agent coming into the NFL, you're lucky if you get a 2-year, $10 million contract.
Which is still good money, right? I mean, right.
Great, but at the same time, when you're drafted, it means more to me. It means more to the owners, to the GMs, to the organization. They drafted you. It's like a player being recruited by UNM from his freshman year until his senior year. That's your baby almost. We have to take care of our kid.
Right. So it's the same thing as walk-ons come on to UNM, right? Same thing. Even a walk-on has to be pretty special. And there's walk-ons that have made UNM's football roster and basketball roster, but they're going to go with the guys that they signed, right? You mentioned that. They're going to go with the guys they recruited and whose education and room and board and things that they're paying the expenses on.
That's their baby.
You mentioned that too, and we're going to talk more about this in developing players. You're currently working a lot on that in training. You've also developed a dog breeding business, which is pretty impressive, man. So you've made, your own strides outside the league as far as, trying to make the NFL, which is a dream, I'm sure. When did you finally say to yourself that's it? I'm not going to try anymore. And you know what? You had some ability and, you had a chance. But when did you say to yourself, you know what? I'm just going to move on.
I told myself that when I actually went back home And I'm training, grinding real hard. I'm grinding, but my agent, he's calling me, giving me opportunities, but it's not the opportunity that I want. I only see myself with one goal, and that was the NFL. So if I couldn't do the NFL, I wasn't trying to do anything else. So it was I had a book in my hand, flipped the next page, and it was on to the next page.
Darryl, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about your dog breeding business and what you're currently doing now after these messages on the Sports Desk.
This game was scheduled for 9 a.m. and we rescheduled it to the afternoon. Can Dalton Shilka stay alive? Oh, that one's a little long. And that does it. Game, set, and match in favor of Cameron King.
2-2 pitch. That's well hit. It might be trouble. No. Sliding catch and right by Noah Morlock.
That's a hit past the pitcher. And just like that, we'll have another runner come in. And wow, just like that. La Cueva strikes again as Melania Macias comes in.
Oh, 2. Line to second for the double play. Leadoff base runner erased. He was straying a little far on a line shot to the shortstop long, and he turns and tosses it to Padilla for the double play. What?
So the second serve from Boson is in. Cross-court action going on at this point, and it pays off for Boson.
Make a play. There is the bunt, popped it up again. Long run, Cooper, and he's going to make the play. Catchers showing off their leather in this one. I'm out of it. In off the hands, right at Karras. He's going to short hop, scoop that, and turn the double play, maybe. Yes!
Whoa.
Double play! Karras let that one drop, and then a really tough hop. He certainly did that on purpose.
Wow, that's a shot. Wow, that'll do it. Oh my gosh. Man, a shot to center field over the fence for Genesis Jaramillo. And that's it, man. 10-0. Bears with the hot bats right now.
He is bunting. Got it way in on the kitchen there. And a great diving catch by the catcher Trujillo.
What great play, what great hustle by Trujillo right there.
That's well hit to Cooper. It is high. It is deep. It is showing an in-flight movie. Home run, David Cooper.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk, live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. Our special guest today, former UNM football running back Darryl Chestnut. And Darryl, I'll tell you what, man, again, thanks for coming on. There's some pictures of you as a Lobo. And what do you remember about, there you are in hitting pay dirt right there, man. And you did that quite a bit.
Man, that picture right there, that's my senior year, 2017. We're in a dog fight with the team we're really not supposed to be in a dog fight with, but that was a game-changing touchdown right there to give us our momentum. Put the defense on the field and let them make a play for us to get the ball back and make another play.
I'll tell you what, there you are in the open field right there, man.
Yeah, that's the same touchdown.
Well, that's the same long run there, right? Long run.
I think that was about a 60-yard.
Yeah, and tell you what, there's a group of young players that you train. Talk a little bit about your training and how you train a lot of these young. And I'm gathering you train a lot of running backs or skill positions, or what? How do you train?
How I look at it, like I tell all my kids, I tell them the biggest thing is to be able to be versatile. So if you're a receiver, I want you to know how to play running back, because you might grow up, you might be the tallest kid in your class right now, but then senior year might come, junior year, sophomore year might come, you're only 5'8", 5'9". So it's either that's either a slot receiver, running back, or a nickel corner in today's game. So now the biggest intangibles you need is speed, acceleration, agility, getting from here to there as fast as possible. So that's what I coach. I want to coach lateral movement, vertical movement. I want you to be able to move your feet as fast as possible.
Some of that you can coach up. Some of that, right, you can coach up. Some of it has to be natural talent, right? Talk about, you mentioned one of the players you're training, and I don't know if you can use his name or not. Talk a little bit about this player you're training now. You mentioned at 11 years old, he's already hit the bar for several things that running backs do that at a later age. Talk a little bit about that.
His name is Ramon Tutu Owens. I call him Two, and I call him a phenom. He's an 11-year-old phenom. The thing I like the most about him, he's coachable. And the thing I like, the other thing I like the most about him, I work out with him. So when he sees me work out, he takes from what I'm doing visually and puts it in his own toolbox. His ability to catch, we use tennis balls. His ability to stop on a dime and create separation with the ball in his hands is different from any other 11-year-old that I've seen. And I played football at 11. He's a smooth runner, and he catches the ball easily. He's not juggling the ball or anything, and his acceleration is where it's needed to be at 11 years old.
Now, we've got a ways up to go before we see him. But when you talk about, Darryl, you've been around the running back position and seen running backs for years. You've watched running backs. You've, I'm sure, had some favorites growing up before you came to play for UNM. And when you talk about this young man the way you do, I can't wait to see what he's like, because if he's like that at 11 years old, he's already ahead of all. And some of that, as you described, is natural ability, right? Natural ability. You know, Darryl, we got some pictures of you with your good friend. There's a picture. We'll talk about your dog breeding business here in a second. But you've got your good friend is Amari Cooper, the wide receiver down for the Cleveland Browns. And, you know, you've been friends with him a long time. And you mentioned, and there's a picture of you and Joe O'Neill coming up that we'll show here in a second. But Amari Cooper being traded from Dallas to Cleveland. And, you know, he had some success there. There's Amari Cooper and Joe O'Neill, the ESPN president, and you on the right. You know, Amari was traded by the Raiders to Dallas, right? And I thought he had some good seasons there with the Cowboys. What went wrong there, do you think, the second half of the season? You and I talked about this the other day. I'm a big Cowboys fan, right? Now, everyone was expecting – they started out well. They started the season out well. And I thought when Dak Prescott pulled that calf, I don't know that he played as well as he did in the second half. And the offense, all of a sudden, which was explosive, went kind of dormant. What do you think happened to the Cowboys in the second half of the season?
I would say lack of trust. You have a top 5 receiver, one of the best route runners in the game. Top 5 receiver, a top 5 running back, one of the best offensive lines heralded in the NFL. But to me, it was lack of trust. If we could go out against Tampa Bay and I go to my main guy and give him 13 receptions for 139 yards, what's going on with the rest of the season. If he's still creating separation, still getting open. To me, I feel like Dak didn't trust everybody around him. Who knows if it was the calf injury or he was still struggling from the ankle. I don't know. But to me, it was lack of trust, and that's just the most I could say about that, honestly.
Now your good friend Amari Cooper traded to the Cleveland Browns, right? Now, quarterback Deshaun Watson, you mentioned the $240 million contract. He's looking at some discipline from the NFL. There's no doubt about it. Who knows what's going to happen? The commissioner is going to weigh in, and we don't know what's going to happen. But tell everybody what Amari Cooper said to you about when he saw Deshaun Watson and they had their first days of work together at minicamp. Tell us what Amari Cooper said to you.
Basically, all in a nutshell, that he's going to trust his guy. He's going to let him fly. He's going to give him the opportunity that's needed for being the number one receiver. So with two minds that things like that, you have to put it in perspective of now I can actually go out there and be comfortable and confident in my game. I don't have to adjust to anything that's going on, anything else that's going on besides my game. Now I'm actually able to go out there and run the routes how I want them to. Me and my quarterback, we're on the same page. It's no other dynamic that's going on inside the building, inside the huddle, or nothing. So basically, Deshaun is going to trust Amari, all in a nutshell.
It's a new start for Amari Cooper and Deshaun Watson too, right? He didn't play all last season. And again, there's a possibility of some suspension by the NFL. We'll have to see what happens there. Darryl, we want to talk to you about your dog breeding business. And, you mentioned this to me. We could stay on contact on the phone. And you mentioned this to me about a year and a half, 2 years ago. You got a picture there of your a couple of dogs that you breed. And talk a little bit about that. People might have a misconception, Darryl, about dog breeding business. And I think it's important that you tell us how you do it.
The dog breeding business, to me, how I explain it, the things that I do personally, I have to be in love with them. Like, for instance, I'm training kids. I always want to stay fit. I always want to stay in shape. But to me, I love dogs. My first dog was in 2017 while I was here at the Lobos. His name was Duke. And then I just fell in love with it. I found the passion for it. But it's just like any other business. You don't want to sell a dog to a person who's going to mistreat a dog. You don't want to sell a dog to a person who's just thinking, oh, it's about the money first, which it's not. It comes with it because they're exotic and they're different animals. Like all my dogs, they're different. But I treat it with passion. I treat it with love. I treat it how I played the game of football. So everything that I've endured and went through in football, I use it the same way on building up. If one of my dogs sick, if I wasn't feeling well during practice, I'm going to the training room. For the dogs, I am the trainer. So I have to make sure my pets are okay. So it's the same type of passion, the same type of love for the game of football, which will never leave my heart at all. So it's just in a different lane and a different business, but it's still the same method applied.
Where did you get the passion for breeding dogs? Where did that idea come from? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, a lot of training, a lot of care. It's not easy. Where did that passion come from?
Man, the passion just I like to grind. So any task that comes to my desk, if I start something, I'm gonna try to finish it. Like I got one dog in 17, and then I went home, finished school, and it was like, what's the next phase? What's my next phase? What else am I gonna do? And like I said, I tried to get a job, but it just didn't. Me and the job didn't correlate. But then I said, you know what? I'm gonna purchase a French bulldog. And it's crazy how things work. Jerron Christian, he was an offensive lineman for the Washington Redskins. We were in the same rookie minicamp. He remembered me. I remember him. And he seen my dog and just wanted to use him. So it happened for me like that. So one person actually changed my outlook and changed my whole entire dog business through Jerron. So he actually put my dog business on the map, not like globally.
Connections can be made in ways we don't even know these days. Darryl Chestnut, former University of New Mexico football running back. We sure appreciate you being our guest today.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a good time, man. We'll do it again for sure.
No problem.
For producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.